Hey guys, welcome back to Revolution XRC and welcome to the next part of this Boom Racing BRX01 adjustable wheelbase Link version kit build series. In this part of this series, we are just going to be putting all the electronics onto the chassis. For this part of the series, you'll also need your ESC motor. I'm going to be using a Hobby Wing Quick Run Fusion. You also need your main steering servo, which I'm going to be using an Armory RC Katana 500. And you'll also need the shift servo that is supplied with the kit. You'll also need your receiver for your radio system. I'm using a FlySky system. I don't have one right here, but it will be a FlySky system, so I will have a FlySky receiver. We can just use this one temporarily for now, but that's what I'll be using. For the servo step and putting those onto the chassis, you'll need the following. You'll need your steering servo and your shift servo. You'll need 2 M3 lock nuts. You'll need 1 M3x6 button head screw. You'll need 2 M3x8 button head screws, and you'll need 2 M3x12 button head screws. And that completes mounting the servo onto the chassis. Alright, we'll move on to the link or drag link for the front servo, as well as the servo horn. So you'll need your servo horn, you'll need your drag link, which has 2 pivot balls and 2 rod ends. You'll also need the rod end for the shift servo. You'll need these 2 M2 by 8 cap head screws for the servo horn. You'll need one M3 by 6 button head screw, and you'll need 2 M3 by 12 button head screws. Now you want to build this drag link with 30 millimeters of space between the 2 rod ends. Now this drag link is counter threaded, so that means to expand or compress or contract the distance between the 2 rod ends, they are both going to be tightened and loosened in the same direction. So this is tightened, this is also tightened, and this is loosened, this one's going to be loosened. So it's going to be the same direction for both ends. You know, it's a pretty good guess. Just a millimeter off. looks like I'm just gonna do a little small twist and I should be done. Now, if I really wanted to properly center this, I would power on the servo, but I'm just going to temporarily mount it into what I think is going to be closest to the center position for now. Alright, that step is complete, but I do see an issue that I'm going to have to take care of. You can see the panhard link and the drag link are not in parallel direction, so I'm just going to have to adjust this to make sure that it's in a parallel direction. Alright, I ended up mounting the drag link under the knuckle arm right there, and that seems to have fixed geometry issues. For the shift rod, you'll need the following parts. You'll need the shift rod, you'll need the shift rod end, you'll need the servo saver for the micro servo, you'll need one M3x6 button head screw, and you'll need one M2x8 cap head screw. Alright, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put the rod end on, and you're going to want a 114.5 millimeter distance between the eye of the rod end of the pivot ball to this bend right here. So I'll kind of put the rod end on and I'll show you a better look. Alright, I've got this link at the correct length. Now you can either measure it with calipers or you could actually use the manual to measure as well. You can see here I've got it the same length, and we'll continue on. Alright, once again, I'm just going to temporarily install this for now. I'm going to, of course, have to adjust it once I power all these servos on. But the way this works, basically, it should start in this, which is first gear, and if it pushes it in, It'll be the high gear, I think, but we'll adjust it when I have the radio set up. Alright, for the motor, you need the motor of your choice. I am going to be using the Hobby Wing Quick Run Fusion 1800 kV. This is the first version of the Fusion. You'll need your motor mount. This motor mount spacer, if you need it, this is optional. You'll need your pinion, your 12-tooth pinion with the grub screw, these two M3x8 cap head screws, and these 8 M2.5x8 cap head screws. I'm just gonna make the pinion flush with the end of the motor shaft right now, just to see if that is the correct amount that I need. Alright, so adding the motor spacer actually was needed. It'll give you the necessary clearance when this is put together to clear the spur gear inside. Okay, I ended up having to put the motor spacer on because with the motor spacer on, that will give enough clearance for this pinion in regards to the inside of the spur. So the inside of the spur has a distance of 6 millimeters from the back of this spur to the front, and if you put the spacer on, you'll have enough space here so that the pinion doesn't hit the back of the spur. So a closer look at it, see if we can focus. Camera has trouble focusing. Oh my gosh. There you go. Alright, I miscalculated. You actually do have a little bit more room, about 6.6 millimeters, because I measured from the edge of the spur gear to the inside, not from the edge of the housing to the inside of the spur gear. So you do have more room to work with, and you won't need the spacer for the Hobby Wing Fusion. So you'll be good. Alright, next thing you want to do, since we are using a 12-tooth pinion, you do want to align this. So what you want to do is align it so that it is flush with the 12. So depending on what pinion you use, this should be flush with the number of the pinion you are using. So in this case, I should have it flush with 12. Once you have that set, you are ready to screw it in place. And with that, we've got the motor mounted up to the transmission. See right here. It's a good fit. Alright, I've got all my electronics wired up and I've already tested the endpoints, which is interesting because I was able to just copy my settings for my Leaf version of the adjustable wheelbase kit because I'm pretty much using all the same electronics, and once I copied it over, almost everything was perfectly set. Like the throttle was set perfectly, the steering was set perfectly, as well as the shift servo. So really cool that everything kind of just transferred over into this truck exactly like my Leaf version. But in the next step, we're going to be putting together the receiver box, and for that you'll need these following parts. For putting the receiver onto the chassis, you'll need the following parts. You'll need 2 M3x8 countersunk screws, 2 M2.5x6 buttonhead screws, and 4 M3x8 buttonhead screws. Make sure the rubber grommet is on the box. I'm just going to clean up this wiring a little bit and we'll be right back. Alright, I've kind of tucked this as well as I could. Right now this gearbox or receiver box is only optimized for 3 cables. So in the future, if you want to add a lighting system or stuff like that, it's all going to change. It's not going to be a perfect fit, but for right now, this is kind of what we're going to be dealing with. Just 3 wires, which is okay. Alright, I've got as snug as I can, and I'm not going to tighten down this plate yet until I can get this lid locked in place. Alright, pretty much I just gotta lock this down, and that completes adding the receiver box to the chassis. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and clean up some of this wiring a little bit, and we'll be right back. And my wiring is pretty much cleaned up. Not much wiring because of the Hobbywing Fusion, which is great. And that pretty much finishes this part of the build series, adding electronics to the chassis. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for future updates on this Boom Racing BRX01 adjustable wheelbase Link version kit build series. Thanks for watching.